Hello, my dear fellow moviegoers, film buffs. Let's do a deeper exploration into Backrooms. I want to focus in on the protagonist, Clark, who is also known as the Pirate, or Captain Clark. He's also the Sultan, and he's also an architect. So let's take a deeper exploration of this character and examine all of the symbolism in the makeshift commercial that he makes at the beginning of the movie. Captain Clark's decline works because every element around him is already telling the truth he refuses to face. He takes on all of these different personas in order to hide the truth from himself especially. He creates this fantasy veneer which below the surface hides a lot of dysfunction and unresolved conflicts. So the movie starts with this commercial, this makeshift commercial, and we see the logo of the Captain Clark's furniture store, and there is like a pirate captain logo or mascot, and he doesn't have peg legs. He has a hook and swords, but he has two boots, so he doesn't have a peg leg like the way he's being portrayed by Clark. So that right there is a disconnect or a contradiction. We wonder, why is he even using that prop? And certainly the moment it happened in the movie, I could see that this was a foreshadowing of when the character that he's playing is hobbling around on the peg and he falls. And the fact that he fell like that, I knew something was going to be mirrored later on, either symbolically or, him actually falling. And ironically, the peg leg that it's supposed to be is made of a chair's leg. So it's a furniture store, first of all, and then it also highlights the crappy furniture that he's selling, because he even says that. But also it's a symbol that he's disabled, that he's injured. So Captain Clark, as a man built on unstable foundations, he's a failed architect, someone trained to create structures that stand, yet he cannot maintain his own structure or ability to stand. The contradiction is the emotional engine of the character. Architecture is about load-bearing integrity. Clark is a man whose internal beams have rotted. His pirate persona is a fantasy of freedom, but also a mask for collapse. His therapist office introduction signals that he's already in repair mode, but the repairs are cosmetic, not structural. Speaking of other issues, he drinks. He acknowledges that in the session. So in a way, he's using the peg leg as a crutch. Alcohol is a crutch, so there's that repeated theme. So alcohol is a crutch. The metaphor is literalized in the pirate commercial. He uses a crutch. He uses alcohol as a crutch. He uses performance as a crutch. Each one is unreliable. Each one fails him. The peg leg breaking is the physical manifestation of the emotional truth. He cannot support himself with the things he's chosen to lean on. Now let's go deeper with the pirate persona, because it's the strangest story. It's a pirate ship logo. Then they're talking about the Sultan, the Ottoman Empire. It's the weirdest combination. So the pirate as a symbol of delusion, not adventure. Pirates are usually symbols of rebellion, freedom, or swagger, but Clark's version is cheap, makeshift, pathetic, desperate. The peg leg made from a chair leg is essentially telling. A chair is meant to support. He has dismantled something stable to create something unstable. That's his life in miniature. And if you also notice how cheaply the little parrot that's sitting on his shoulder is flopped over. It's dead. It's not even a convincing prop, right? Let's say it was upright on his shoulder properly, but it's intentionally, I'm guessing the director, it's like flopped over. And that's another foreshadowing. And then later we're going to see a dead seagull, which has all kinds of meaning and nautical and maritime meaning as an ill omen. So we're seeing the first dead bird with the fake parrot, and it's very, costumey and cheap looking. So the peg leg made from a chair's leg is especially telling. The chair is meant to support. He has dismantled something stable to create something unstable. That's his life in miniature. The fall is a foreshadowing. When he collapses during the commercial, it's not slapstick, it's prophecy. His body fails him, his persona fails him, his business fails him, his relationship has failed him, and his coping mechanisms fail him. And we, the audience, see this truth before he does. He is a wounded man pretending to be whole. Okay, so let's look at the mascot and the missing peg leg. The storefront mascot contradicts his self-image. The mascot doesn't show the peg leg. It's a sanitized, idealized version of Captain Clark. This mismatch symbolizes his denial, his desire to appear functional, his inability to integrate his wounds into his identity. He wants to be seen as a pirate, but not a broken pirate. The world sees the truth anyway. And now let's look at the Ottoman Sultan link here. So the Ottoman name and the Sultan persona. The Ottoman, a secondary failed identity, the business name referencing an Ottoman, which is of course a play on words because this piece of furniture is named from the Ottoman Empire and the Sultan's palace, very luxurious and elegant. A sultan adds another layer. A sultan is a ruler. Clark is not in control of anything. The name is grandiose, mismatched, and hollow. It's another mask, another persona, another attempt to project authority he does not possess. So why his instability makes him a prime target. So this is my own pet theory. I'm thinking the reason why people get sucked into the back rooms is because there's something in them or in their life so that makes them easier to be drawn in and lured in by the powers that control the back rooms. So I believe this instability makes him vulnerable to the back rooms and the power that they can sway over people and influence them. That ends up, like in some kind of trap. So instability attracts danger in the backrooms world. Characters who are already psychologically compromised are easier to be manipulated, to be isolated, to be broken down, and are easier to be lured deeper and deeper into the liminal spaces. I believe the liminal spaces and in the back rooms, and this has been other people saying this as well, and the movie says it, about how it can penetrate your mind and your emotions. So that's really interesting. But it makes sense that they are looking for a certain frequency that they can then suck out all those emotions and thoughts to help build further structures and and creatures. And we have to consider this might all be just psychological to some degree. His fall in the commercial is the first sign that he is already slipping between worlds. The backrooms prey on people who are unmoored, and Clark is practically drifting. Clark's personas, the pirate, the sultan, the architect, all share one trait. They are roles defined by mastery over space. Pirates command the seas, sultans command empires, and architects command structures. Clark is commanding nothing. His decline is the story of a man who keeps choosing identities, but built on dominance because he feels powerless, and each identity collapses under its own weight. I want to also talk about the chair again, because he falls off the peg leg. It's part of a chair. He then ridicules the chair as being garbage and crappy, poorly made furniture of poor quality. So he's dissing his own store. I mean, if it's a bad quality, you're selling it. What does that say about you? And then later in the back rooms, we see this grand, sumptuous blue, peacock blue chair, almost like a perverse throne. And it's in the center of this room. So there's a definite link between that commercial, to me, and that grand throne chair in the middle of that room. And on the way into that room, he sees a dead seagull, which is a terrible omen, in nautical and maritime kinds of folklore. So he sees this broken throne, and it's almost like the story of Faustus, that Faustus wants power, whatever it is that he wants, and he's willing to make a deal with Mephistopheles and the devil to claim his soul as long as they give him everything he wants in this material plane. And so in a way it is this like Faustian bargain that's been made with the back rooms. Be careful what you wish for kind of thing. And so there it is, the back rooms presents him with his throne in hell. And to Clark's credit, he doesn't accept it. He doesn't go sit in the throne. I mean, it's already distorted and melting into the floor. Just exquisite symbolism. So the throne breaks in the real world, then reappears in the back rooms as a warped, luxurious, impossible object. A Faustian reward he refuses, which is the most honest thing he does. So let's look at the throne. So the throne usually is a symbol of sovereignty and nobility. But in this case, in the commercial, the throne is a symbol of false sovereignty. The throne represents the authority he pretends to have. In the commercial, he says, "Every sultan must have a throne." But the chair collapses under him. This is not just slapstick, it's a verdict. He is not a sultan. He is not a captain. He is not an architect of anything stable. The throne breaking is the universe saying, "You cannot sit where you claim to rule." The throne is also a test. The throne is a test of weight, literal and moral. Thrones are built to bear the weight of leadership. Clark cannot bear the weight of his own life. The collapse is a moral engineering failure. So let's look. Every sultan should have his own throne, right? The Ottoman sultan persona as delusion. The sultan persona is grandiosity masking shame. He names his business after an empire. He calls himself a captain. He pretends to be a pirate. He claims a throne. Every persona is a power fantasy, compensating for his internal collapse. The throne breaking is the moment the fantasy cannot hold. So, going back to the throne in hell, the Faustian bargain, the royal blue chair is the throne he sold his soul for, but twisted. When the throne reappears in the back rooms, half submerged in the floor, it's a perfect liminal metaphor. It is luxurious, but unstable. It is regal, but trapped. It is beautiful, but wrong. It's the throne he always wanted, but in a place where it has no meaning. This is where the Faustian element emerges. Clark's desire for status, power, and identity has manifested, but only in a hellscape that mocks him. The backroom's throne is a temptation he refuses. This is crucial. He walks away. He does not sit. He does not claim it. This is the first time he rejects the fantasy of power. It's the first moment of clarity. He sees the throne for what it is, a trap. So if we were to delve into the psychology a little deeper here, the throne can be seen as a symbol of trauma made physical. The throne haunts him because it represents everything he failed to become. The back rooms externalize internal states. So, the throne is his shame, his ambition, his delusion, his failure, his longing for control. It's not a reward, it's a mirror. The half-submerged throne is a half-formed identity. He is not fully a king, not fully a captain, not fully an architect. He is a man whose identity is shrinking into the floor. So, going further with the mythical and literary parallels, Faustian bargain without the bargain. Clark never makes a deal with the devil, but he lives like he did. He traded authenticity for persona, stability for fantasy, sobriety for escape, craft for spectacle. The back room's throne is the devil's joke. You wanted this? Here, sit if you dare. He doesn't. That refusal is the first sign he might still have a soul. The throne breaking in the real world and reappearing in the back rooms suggests that the back rooms are not just a place, they are the architecture of Clark's psyche. He is a failed architect whose mind has become a labyrinth of unfinished rooms, broken supports, and impossible structures. The throne is the load-bearing symbol of his entire arc. And if I can add, going back to the omens and portents, so in classic Roman folklore, esoterica, divination, omens and portents, auguries, to see a type of bird that meant something and that has lots of symbolism. And so we see this dead parrot, which is usually symbolic of tropical, beautiful, Caribbean, the things a pirate would see on his many adventures. And we see this slumped over dead plastic bird. It's not even remotely convincing. And then in the back rooms, we see a dead seagull. So I want to explore that angle too. So let's go into that a little deeper. The symbol of the seagull. In nautical lore, seagulls represent death. They are considered a bad omen, and they also represent a boundary between worlds. And if you think about it, the seagulls live on the land and the sea and the air, so they are automatically a liminal symbol. So liminal symbols are boundaries, just at the edge of something. Not quite that, not quite this. So that's another interesting choice to use the seagull. So if you saw the movie The Lighthouse, you'll notice there was a scene with a seagull, and one of the characters kills the seagull out of frustration, which of course brings ultimate doom to him, as killing a seagull is an extreme taboo among many sailors and nautical lore. So in maritime superstition, seagulls are believed to be the spirits of drowned sailors, messengers from the afterlife, omens of death or tragedy. Another reason why it would be extremely bad luck as a sailor is because seagulls were often used as indicators, almost like a natural compass. They know that if you see a seagull, then we're not probably very far from land. They can also symbolize safety, direction, so they are this natural compass. So to kill a seagull, especially if you're pretending to be a sailor, now we don't see that he's killed the seagull, but there's a dead seagull at his feet, and so that's a very bad omen. And it's just after he sees the dead seagull that we're then brought into the next room where they have that Faustian throne. So seagulls are scavengers, so they can symbolize survival in harsh conditions, the thin line between life and death, and the brutality of the sea. So there's an expression that says the sea is unforgiving. And so you can't play games on the sea. She can bring you many beautiful things, riches and food, and take you places. But then she could also then, if you wrong her, will seek revenge. So killing a seagull is inviting the sea's revenge. Sailors believed the sea was alive, a force with moods, grudges, and memories. Hurting a seagull was thought to provoke storms, shipwrecks, bad winds, misfortune, death. It was seen as an offense against the ocean itself. So very strange that is that symbol. And if you saw the movie The Lighthouse, you know that that's a pivotal moment that he's doomed, and he does meet his demise. So, and it was the spirit of a sailor. Very interesting symbolism. So I hope you enjoyed my little analysis of this movie. I just was so compelled and intrigued by it. And I know a lot of people, there's a lot of buzz about this film, and I can see why. It's got lots of interesting layers and stories. And in a way, we think of it as a work of fiction, but if you think about it from an astronomy standpoint, think about space. Here we are on this little planet spinning around, and we're just a speck, and even our Milky Way is just a speck into a larger and larger and larger, cosmos, seemingly unto infinity. So in a way, we are in the back rooms, if you think about it. So lots of interesting connections. All right, my dears, stay groovy, and on to the next film.